Well, I see we're in the Red Room tonight at the SCP. And I don't mean that Republican. Very clear. I'm neither of these two assholes. I'm sure shit not a liberal either. Or conservative. I'm Doomslayer, sure. At any rate, I thought that I didn't get much into it. I don't want to know the whole entire history of the Democratic Party up to today. And I don't want to know the whole entire goddamn history of the Republican Party up to today. But I think that this is worthy of a subject matter to look at. Getting into it. So, I just wanted to hop off the start well, actually, it would be this. Go ahead and let that play out for a little bit.
So, with
Tim and David.
the Republican National Convention coming up in just a couple of weeks as we're recording this, you thought it would be like a really good idea to sit down and...
Only because they want
Okay. There we go. So, obviously, we got 50 years inside of here where there was only 3 Democrats between here or somewhere's like that. Somewhere's inside of here. I think there was only like 3 Democrats, something like this, after Lincoln, or Republicans after Lincoln. Lincoln, Republican, no slaves. He was actually the Aboriginal there. For what that means, they were hardcore against slavery. Drop it all right now. Then a state secedes into this situation. Definitely your gray hairs. They want slavery. They don't mind that as far as what the base is. Definitely leading hard into, well, not slavery, but educated white people. Jefferson's trying to make England too in terms of this, and then Hamilton was like, no, that's not what we wanted. We're doing something different. So at any rate, inside of here, I think it's critical or crucial that you understand the foundations of the beginning of these things, because I could really care what it is.
We have 216 years of Democratic Party.
I could care less what it is today. We have California, would be the hardline Democrat, right? California, New York. You got Texas, as far as your Republicans are concerned, and some of your mid-states, so on and so forth. Alaska and Texas are going to be your hardcore Republican states, where, again, California and New York are going to be your hardcore Democrat states. Old hat, new hat. I don't care if it's Hawaii or whatever. I just don't care. As far as what the visual comes out to be, it's pretty cut and dry for what that material is inside of there. Why? Why would you ask? Well, when you look at it today, yeah, I mean, eat my mac and cheese here. You're too far down the rabbit hole to turn around in either direction, realistically. And that's why I consider them both unconstitutional. They're a party of a group of a name of people that they both are in the Democratic House by utilizing a term that defines that system. That's the truth of the matter. You might have a different political view, but that's the nature of the party. You can have people inside of that view as long as I've signed my name on that. Don't discriminate me. I'm going to put money on that situation, and I'm just going to be a pushover and go along with the system to get along and make sure I get the money, because there's only one of them that's going to get the vote this year. Period. Now, you might get some states inside of there, or a bit of a hillside beyond that, but you're still sucking the teat on whatever comes through the pipes. So let's look at today. Let's look at California. Look at New York. I mean, New York's not doing too bad right now. Not too bad. Taxes are way up. The city's way up. It's tight. It's tight. In either case, so I don't idealize as either side of the coin here, but California's with Newsom's got some bad naming on it. I mean, I'm sure Jefferson would still be pissed in terms of what it is, because if we're going to use England too as what the standard is here in Hamiltonian code, Hammer code, inside of here, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Of course, the Republican Party, as a stonemason, these are going to be hardcore union guys over here, not actually the Democrat. What actually specifies the union inside of here is they want the farm owners to have free labor or free or cheap labor off of what Democrats, certainly the president, being the term that defines what this is, wants all the Ford or all the car companies to have a union base, which is this large standard where I forget, is it freedom to work? I can't exactly remember the term for what they called it here recently. And you can see how that is so upside down. Union bases in the stone mill, because I actually push hard with the Democratic, or how it would be a Republican idea in that stone mill. I love the ladder. I love the timelines and adjusted standards of the documentations that go into that kind of system. But that becomes a republic. That becomes this idea where inside of their stonemasonry is general is its own nation. It's its own republic under the ideas that govern themselves to the most adjusted model inside the situation. So let's go to the grocery store when I say you're too far to turn around. We're not just dealing with the standard model of the farm now, are we? We are quite a bit farther down the rabbit hole than what that represents. And whether you could truly quantify any of these things to be one of those things or other. You have to use common sense, you have to use physics. This is quantum, this is the party of the quantum party. And if you're anything else than that, Heisenberg and multi-worlding circumstances to best idealize what the inverse shadow problem is. I know I talk about it a lot, but we're trying to identify, is that what the problem is? Is this what the problem is? And you get this huge slit on it where both of them wind up having democratic natures inside the policies, no matter how left or right wing they are. And on the right wing, on the right wing side of this thing, you wind up saying, hey, I'm for the workers, I'm for the standards on those things, but you don't really push the nature of those things to be the safety standards. It's still in the oil game. It's still in this state party thing like that. And we have federal laws. And we have murder trials. We have, which are undeniable by the standard for what they represent. And you can't pull out of the gravity on that situation, because it'll pull the strings of the fate, or pull the strings of fate so hard that it'll bring down the roof. So we got to come up with something different inside here about what's going on. And like I said, I don't want to necessarily have to deal with the whole situation like that, nor should I have to. I should look at the information as it's presented today, listen to two people argue about the situation, and make a decision based on my opinion for what that does, on decisions based in 4-year operations. Not today, pen stroke on a thing, policies on a design to do a thing. I got to see your pen stroke. It's got to make it out. You got to prep out all that work for 4 years, regardless of who you are, to sign the note on the end of the line that the next policymaker inside of here is going to do. And there's no reason that a Republican couldn't follow up a Democrat in the actions that they set forth in the Newtonian mechanics going on here. And neither could a Democrat. Well, inversely, the Democrats should have no problem following up a Republican. That's going to happen. Those are going to be the moves. And I think when you really look at that for a moment, and you say inside here, anytime you hear somebody pushing a party vote for what it is, instead of information given the system, we don't need the party any longer when we have news, when we have social media, when we have the standards inside of here, and somebody's trying to knock it down. Somebody's trying to start a civil war inside here, given what the standard is, but I can't really quantify that this isn't helping this situation. Let's talk about San Francisco. Let's talk about Philadelphia. I think it's Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Chicago, Illinois. So you tell me what's inside of there. It's more of a product of what's going down here. Now, you can certainly write bills and laws that don't necessarily help those things, but on the other side of this, you just can't claim that I'm from a farm state and that's what the property value is inside of there, and just camp up and say that's what that is, because the rules of the farm based in gravity, y'all. There's going to be, what did I plant there last year, what did the situation do, and all kinds of bullshit about, well, money on the system. Look, you got to have some kind of sensible caps on this. It's more about freedom below a point. You know, you're kind of allowed to be a bad monkey down in there within reasons. I'm not saying murder people. I'm not saying doing those things. But look, once you hit a certain dollar bill number inside of here, get the fuck out. You know, certainly don't make no money off of this. Yeah, I mean, completely pull out. You don't want to have anything on your roster and saying that's what that is, because it just completely undermines the standards on what happens inside of here. Or at least that's my opinion on the situation as it stands. So, you know, anytime somebody says Republican or Democratic or any of those things and doesn't just slam somebody right in the dick or bust them on the nose with a newspaper. Either way, catch you on the next one.